Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them as best as I can. Thanks once again for all the amazing questions that you've been asking this week. There are some amazing ones. So yeah, we're going to get straight into this without further ado. Let's have a look at the first question. Okay, so the first question is, I've had a few people on last week's Q&A mentioned to me about the Magic Circle. And if you didn't see last week's Q&A, have a look at it. I gave my thoughts very honestly about the Magic Circle. And a lot of people have messaged me and left comments saying, oh, you know, we'd really love to see you in the circle. I've had a lot of private messages actually from people saying, oh, I'd really like to see you in the circle. That's such a shame, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it is a shame. It's like I said, I'm not going to reiterate what I said on the video last week. It is a shame, but it is what it is. That's the Magic Circle's prerogative, and I have to accept it. I do want Ryland to join the Young Magic Circle when he's 10 years old. Hell, I'd really like him to join it now, but I know that's not possible. Is this the end of the road? Probably not. I mean, if you look at John Lenihan was, you know, probably more outspoken about the Magic Circle than I was back in the day, and he's now been made like MIMC, I believe. So, you know, if he can do it, I'm pretty sure anyone can. My plan, in case anybody's interested, is I'm going to write back and I'm just going to explain a few things that I think I need to explain because they didn't really kind of get my side of it. I didn't really kind of put my side over as well as I could have. So I'm gonna write back to them and we'll see where that goes. And it might not lead to anything, but obviously, as everything that happens on this channel, I'll keep you updated. I have had a few people leave comments going, why should you care about the Magic Circle? It's just a magic club, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it is just a magic club, but I explained last week, there's a few reasons why I'd like to be part of the Magic Circle again. And one of the reasons is obviously because of Ryland, but that's not the other reason. The other reason is I really do think that their goals and my goals align. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you watched last Sunday, their 100 Years of Soaring in Half. I didn't watch all of it. I watched a lot of it. I thought that Peter Nardi from Alakazam and everybody that was involved in it, the president, obviously, they all did an amazing job. They all did an amazing job. And it just showed how much they care about magic, which is really, ultimately, what this channel is set up for. This whole channel, the reason I set up this channel was to try and promote magic. It was trying to make it kind of a hub where no matter what you're into as a magician, you can get content that will help you in whatever area you want to be helped in. If you want to have help with marketing or performance or nerves or what trick to buy, whatever it is, I wanted this to be kind of a hub for that. And the Magic Circle, you know, that's what they want as well. They just want to promote better magic all over the world. So I think our goals align in many, many ways. So I don't want to bang on about the Magic Circle anymore. I'm just addressing all the questions I got. Where we go from here, we will see. I'm going to write a letter to the Magic Circle, and I don't think I've wrote a letter since I was 15 years old, but I'm actually going to write a letter. It's crazy in this day and age, but I'm actually going to write a letter to them, and we'll see where things go from here. So there you go. That's your Magic Circle update. One more update before I get to specific questions is also about Justin Flom, because a lot of people have commented on various different videos on the channel talking about Justin Flom, and Justin Flom is back, and Justin Flom has exposed something else. And I talked about how Justin exposed the crystal casket a couple of weeks ago. He's now exposed a David Copperfield illusion as well. I'm not going to show you any clips. In hindsight, I should have shown the clips in the first video. I'm not going to show you any clips. You know, if that's something that you want to see, he's very easy to find. I don't really want to talk anymore about Justin Flom. I got all my anger out in that video, and if you didn't see the interview with Bizarro that went up on Tuesday, we spent a lot of time talking about Justin Flom, and Bizarro is somebody who was close with Justin for many, many years, and was a friend of Justin's for very many, many years, so he's provided a bit of an insight into what's going on in Justin's head. And having spoken to Bizarro, and also having watched Justin's channel and seen what he's doing, I just think that the guy, there's no hope. There's absolutely no hope, and it's a shame because Justin was the poster boy for magic. I mean, he was one of these guys that magicians love, laymen love, everybody looked up to him, and it was fantastic. You know, he had, he was held in such revere as an amazing performer and creator of magic. And now, unfortunately, the majority of the magic community look down on him. And Bizarro summed it up perfectly. It's all about the money right now. It's not about anything else. It's all about the money. He wouldn't be exposing these illusions in the context of a prank if it wasn't for anything else other than money. You know, he makes a lot of money from doing these little prank videos, and probably doing those videos and exposing those tricks is more important to him than going out and doing live performances. And it's a shame. It is a shame. To be clear, it's a real shame, because somebody who is as creative as Justin, and he is very, very creative, he could come up with ways of using those illusions in a way that is not exposing them. Take the crystal casket, for example. It would be very easy to show this casket, get them to put a cloth over it, and then just have the person pop out and do the surprise without exposing the illusion. You still get the idea of what the thing's about, but it's all shock and awe, isn't it? You know, he knows that he exposes an illusion, magicians are going to get peed off about it, and then more magicians are going to see what all the fuss is about, and they're going to watch it as well. It's what happened with me. I made a decision not to watch Justin Flom's videos anymore because I didn't want to help him game the algorithm. And then everyone was going, oh, have you seen us expose this? Have you seen us expose this? So I go and check it out, and I go and watch the bloody thing, and I'm pissed off about it afterwards because it's annoyed the hell out of me, and I've just gone and helped him get another view. So, you know what? I'm done with Justin Flom right now. As far as I'm concerned, the guy can go out and murder a kitten, and I don't care, because he is the lowest of the low. He is an absolute complete and total scumbag. And I hope one day him and I meet, because I would like to have a conversation with him. But outside of that, will I do another rant video on him in the future? Maybe. But right now, it's just obvious that he is completely and totally beyond hope, and he is in it for the almighty dollar, and that's all. He's sold out, and we need to move on. Right, so the first proper question is from Dale Senior. Hi Dale, how are you doing? And he says, I missed your question, I'm so sorry. The question is, what's your favourite coin vanish and where can you source them? What a great question. There's so many different coin vanishes that you can do, there really are. And luckily I have a coin right here because I was prepared for your question. Now, I think that when everyone starts, you want to start off by learning the French drop. It's the first, because the French drop allows you to understand concepts that make a vanish deceptive, because it's not just, with coin vanishes, it's not just about learning the physical way of making a coin vanish, it's about all the little points that make it better. So with a French drop, for example, you know, if you do it like this, it's terrible. You need to look at where the coin is meant to be, as opposed to where the coin actually is. And it's all about frame of action. I actually did this on a 5x5. If you look up, I think, the second or third 5x5, I actually talk about how to make a coin vanish deceptive. But the French drop is a great one. After the French drop, you know, still to this day, I use a classic palm vanish. And a finger palm vanish. If you don't know what that is, a classic palm vanish is openly holding it in classic palm and apparently dumping it into that hand. It is very natural. And the important thing is, when you throw it in this hand, you don't just want to throw it in this hand and this hand remains static. You want to throw it in this hand, and this hand kind of just almost like acts like it's received the coin. That's a great vanish. Another variation of that is to show the coin and put it in classic palm, but pretend that you've still got it behind your fingers, and then do that. That's a great vanish as well. You can do the same thing with finger palm. So you can show the coin in finger palm, and you can apparently put it into this hand. So if you don't do classic palm, you can do finger palm. You can do the same thing with thumb palm. So you can show the coin, just throw it in the other hand, and you can have it go into thumb palm. All of those vanishes work really well. Obviously, the ultimate vanish to use is sort of retention pass, which is really nice, because obviously it's called a retention pass because you've got that retention of vision. Like, you still think the coin's there even when it's been taken out. And the way to achieve that, by the way, is to make the coin catch the light. This is a pure silver $50. And you turn the coin at the last second so it catches the light. And it's that light that catches it that really makes that coin vanish deceptive, right? And then you can do that at the fingertips as well. So you can have the coin at the fingertips and have it do a sort of a fingertip retention pass, which is really, really nice. I mean, those are the classic ones. Those are the ones that, you know, you should use. Then you go on to the more advanced technique, like, you know, doing a ROPS move, retention open palm steal, which is a Michael Rubenstein move. You can do steals, like this sort of thing, where you wave your hand over and you steal the coin. I've talked about this on the channel before, and then you bring it back, which is Vernon. You can do other types of steals where you kind of point to the hand and you've stolen the coin out, that sort of thing as well. Then there's so many different moves. It depends. I have like 30 or 40 different coin vanishes that I use for different situations, depending on whether I'm seated, whether I'm standing, whether I've got people around me or not. You know, you pick the right vanish for the right time. One of my favorite vanishes, which is something I came up with and I've not ever published, is this sort of thing where you literally just allow the coin to slide down into your hand and it just ends up in an open finger palm position. It's really nice because that movement of the coin sliding down completely, that movement just sells that the coin really is in the hand. It's really nice, and it can be viewed from literally any angle. It's completely angle proof, and it just ends up in fingertip press. That's a really nice vanish as well. So yeah, that's your basics. I mean, if you want me to do a video on coin vanishes and really getting into depth with it, about the psychology and about all the different vanishes you can use, I could probably do that. That's not a problem. But for now, I would start with the I would start with just doing these sort of things and then maybe moving into a retention pass. Ultimately, you'll end up with one vanish that you're really comfortable with, that vanish that you're really happy with, and that's the one that you ultimately will probably end up on. And even though you have lots of vanishes, there's one that you do more than any other. It's a little bit like a card control, right? You know, there's lots of different ways to control a card, but people always lean towards one particular control over any other. So I hope that helps and gives you a few examples of some coin vanishes, but let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so the next question is by Stevie Salsa Moves, and the question is, how would you go about getting a duo show together like you and Steve Della? Well, again, great question, and what you have to understand with a duo show, there's some great two-person shows out there. You look at, in the UK especially, you look at Carl and Dave. They have a great two-person show. You know, obviously, I'm trying to think of there's so many of them. Jay and Josh are a great two-person illusion show. The thing you need to understand about putting a two-person show together is the financial side of things. Okay, what you don't, because understand that when you go out and you market yourself as a two-person show, you then have to split the profits for that show. So you have to make sure that it is a big enough show to make it financially viable. And what I mean by that, and let's make the math really, really easy. Let's say that you are a solo performer and you are used to going out at £500 a gig. And you go out for £500 a gig and blah, 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 and that's great. And then you meet another performer and they go out at £500 a gig. Well, now you're in a situation where if the two of you are going to go and do a gig together, you then have to go out and do that gig at £1,000 a gig, because if you go out and do it at £500 a gig, well, now you're making half of what you would have made if you went out on your own. So a lot of people don't think about this when they think about putting a two-person show together. Now, there are ways around that. So the way that I work it with Steve is Steve still goes out and does his own thing. I still go out and do my own thing, but then we come together to do the show, and we charge a lot more for the show. So the Phantasmagoria show, which is the one you're talking about with me and Steve Della, it's a high profile, high-end, expensive show for a booker to book. It is not like the sort of thing that you would book if you were going out and doing a wedding. It goes out for thousands, right? So when we get a booking come in for Phantasmagoria, it's like, well, okay, no problem. Even if I've got a gig that day, or or not, I don't want to, I'm not saying, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore. I've got a higher price gig. But what I mean is, it's worth more than if I had a gig on that particular day, if that kind of makes sense. So You have to make it financially viable. And all the double acts that I know do that. Like, you look at Carl and Dave, they go out and do their own thing, but they also have this amazing show that they put together, and they go out and they do at a lot of holiday parks and stuff like that. So understanding the financial side of things is really, really important. It sounds all fun, and it is fun, but you don't want to screw yourself over. You don't want to be going out and working twice as hard to make half as much money. So the way to do that is to make the show bigger. So the first two-person show I ever put together was with a guy called Russell, and that was where the name Slightly Unusual, which is the name of my company, that's the name Slightly Unusual originally came from that show that I did with me and Russell. And we were basically just close-up magicians and smaller cabaret magicians, and we put this illusion show together. This big, massive illusion show. So we could charge more for the illusion show because it was a lot bigger. It was like big illusions. We had to turn up in a van and so on and so forth. And we scripted the whole thing to make the most out of the two-person show. And that's the other thing. If you're going to do a two-person show, you have to spend a lot of time and effort scripting routines that use both people. I've seen two-person shows in the past where it's like, right, this person's going to perform a trick. Now this person's going to perform a trick. Now this person's going to perform a trick. Now this person. And that's just a waste of time. You might as well just do it yourself if you're not on stage together. So myself and Russell back in the day, we spent a lot of time and effort putting together presentations, really clever presentations that use the two of us. It's the same with what me and Steve have done with Phantasmagoria. We spent a lot of time and effort putting together routines that involve me and Steve, and even the finale of the show. You know, it all brings everything together and we're on stage together. So it's a lot of work as well. It's a lot of work because you can't just say, right, okay, you take these 4 tricks that you do, you take these 4 tricks that you do, and we'll put them together and we'll do that in a show. That's ultimately not going to be viable, okay? So you have to, 1, come up with the concept. 2, you have to really think about your characters in the show. So, you know, in the Phantasmagoria show, I'm the magician and I'm very loud and outspoken and brash, while Steve is more softly spoken and he's the mentalist, and he's obviously the guy that's the better performer, and we bounce off each other in that way, and it works really, really well. So you need to think of all of this stuff, and then you need to come up with a price point, and then there's a lot of marketing behind it. I would advise you to set it up as a completely separate website and a completely separate business, which is again what Carl and Dave do. They've got like the Carl and Dave show, which has got its own website. Then they've both got their own separate website. So I would kind of go down that route. Now, in terms of where you find these people, the best thing is just to network in the magic community. And I know COVID at the moment means that you can't go out to magic clubs, but you can network online. You can speak to people online, and you can speak to them and see if you've got a synergy with anybody. You know, as you speak to people online, there might be somebody who you find yourself agreeing with more often than not, and you can private message them and say, hey, let's just have a chat about magic. And there might not be an agenda at first, but it's important that you have a good relationship with the person that you put a two-person show together with, because you're going to be on the road a lot. And the worst thing in the world is you're on the road and people are arguing all the time, and you're arguing, it's just going to blow up, and the whole thing's just not going to work. So you need to find somebody that you kind of gel with, right? Because you're going to be on the road with them a lot. Very, very good chance you'll be on the road with them a lot. But just go online and find people. Steve approached me about Phantasmagoria. It was his concept that he did years ago in Brighton and London, and it was a very, very popular show. And then he retired it and then moved back up to Telford, which is not far away from me. And he reached out and he was looking to reinvigorate it as an actual brand. And he knew he needed a magician, because the whole concept of it was magic versus mentalism. And he reached out to me and he said, hey, you know, you're an amazing magician. I'm an amazing mentalist. Let's make it happen. The one with Russell was a much different situation, because we were already working with each other, because I had a business partner way back in the day, and Russell was that business partner's son. So I already knew him and I was already working with him to some extent. So it was a lot easier to put that show together in that context. So it very much depends, but my advice to you would be to find somebody who you get on really, really well with, build up a relationship, just talk magic, and then see if you can put an act together. See if you can throw the idea out to that person and say, hey, have you thought about putting a two-person show together? Brainstorm some ideas, see if you can script a show together, and then put the show on for free. Get it filmed and put it on for free, and invite everybody, and put yourself together a show reel, and then you can use that to start marketing yourself and see where things go. That's the best advice I can give you. Hope that helps. Okay, so the next question is from Grim Tuesday 13. Absolutely cracking content. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, mate. Two questions here. Let's take them one at a time. Question number one, is there any merit to using a posh deck of cards in your time gigging, or in your opinion, to layman, does a deck of cards really matter? Good question. And to be honest, a deck of cards is a deck of cards, right? It's as simple as that. A deck of cards is a deck of cards. If you're anything like me, you're going to mash those cards up to smithereens anyway. You know, when I go out and do a gig, I'm having cards folded, I'm having cards ripped up, I'm having cards... I just throw my deck away after a gig. It's as simple as that, right? However, I like cohorts. Cohorts are my favorite deck. I absolutely love the feel of cohorts, and I use a lot of gaffs that require a deck of cohorts. I just love cohorts, I really do. So what I'll have is, I'll have a deck of cohorts with me. If I'm doing just 2 hours walk around, I'll probably not have my cohorts with me. I'll just have a deck of bikes that I can smash up, and I know it hasn't cost me much money. I always have a mem deck with me. Now, the mem deck is made up of a deck of cohorts a lot of the time, because with the mem deck, I'm not going to wreck it. I'm not going to smash it up. So I want it to be made out of a nice deck of cards, and then it's very, very easy to see that it's a different deck when I pull it out of my pocket, so I know which deck I'm grabbing. So I do have the mem deck set up out of a deck of cohorts. I'll always have a couple of decks of cohorts in my bag, and I kind of just jazz it. You know, I've talked about this on the channel in the past, but I have lots of gaff decks with me. I'll only take out one at a time. So sometimes it's an invisible deck, sometimes it's an any card, it's just different things. Lots and lots of different decks depending on the situation. But if I'm just going to do a standard mix and mingle gig, I'll just take a deck of bikes, because I don't want to be paying £7 or £8 to mash up a deck of cohorts when I can do the same thing for £1, £1.50 with the deck of bikes. And no layman is going to look at that deck and go, well, you know what, this would have been a very good performance, Mr. Magician, if it wasn't for the fact that you used a pack of bicycle playing cards. I would have expected a deck of cohorts, or maybe those no fancy cards from Theory 11, you know, the Star Wars ones. Those are the cards. I'm going to mark you down on that performance because your cards were a little shit. No layman's ever going to say that, right? So it's up to you. You know, ultimately, if you're performing magic as a full-time magician, then you have to look at it as a business. And if you're looking at stuff as a business, you have to look at expenses. And one goal as a business is to keep your expenses down, right? So if you're doing 5 gigs a day, wow, that'd be impressive, right? If you're doing 5 gigs a week and you're mashing up a deck of cards every single gig, well, 5 packs of cards a week, if you're paying £2 a pack, that's £10 expenses. If you're using a deck of cards where they cost £8 a pack, that's what, £40. So, which every week adds up. You know, you're going to be spending hundreds of pounds. So just purely from a business point of view, it's not a good idea to use that sort of deck of cards. Now, if you're a hobbyist and you're really into really fancy, intricate sleight of hand, then yeah, great, use whatever deck of cards you want to. And you know, ultimately, this is just my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. But in all honesty, if your plan is to go out and just mash the deck of cards up, I'd use a deck of bikes. If you're the sort of performer where you don't do that, and you don't have cards signed, and you do very fancy 4-of-a-kind productions, and nothing gets ripped and nothing gets torn and nothing gets folded up, then great, use whatever pack of cards you want to. But ultimately, it's down to you. But I don't think laymen sit there and think that the cards we're using are substandard if we're using anything else other than a pack of bikes. Right, next question is from Grim Tuesday 13. It's another question, so let's see if we can answer this one. As a rule of thumb, it's incredibly difficult to meet, engage, and converse with magicians unless you're part of a magic club. In the good old days of forums, when I was a spry youth, you could build up engagement with people over a period. Or you could go to the pub, have a beer, or go from there. In today's current climate of social media being spam haven, and everyone terrified of saying, hey, fancy a jam, in case they've got to sign up to a 12-month contract or risk of being arrested for harassment, how would you recommend engaging with like-minded wizards and building a social circle? Again, it's a very good question. I would say that the best piece of advice I could give you is what I said to the other guy previously that was Stevie Salsa Moves, that was looking for setting up a 2-person show. Network online. I'm a big business networker. I'm not going to talk about business on this channel, but I'm a big business networker. So I go networking to generate more business. And the whole idea behind networking is building relationships with people, right? Well, you want to do the same thing as a magician. You want to build relationships. Now, you are right, with COVID at the moment, we can't go out to conventions. We can't go out to like magic clubs or anything like that. But you know what? If I put on there are no forums. There are still forums, but they're not as big. But there are Facebook groups. Now, if I put on a Facebook group, hey, I'm planning a Zoom jam in 2 days' time. Would anybody like to jump on with me? I'll send you the link. I guarantee about 10 or 15 people would probably say yes. So that's one thing that you could do. Just set up a Zoom account and just set up a jam and just invite magicians. You'll be amazed at how many magicians will say yes. And if you can set up this jam and you can show each other card magic and go from there. The other thing is, when you're on these Facebook groups, look for people who you feel you've got a kind of a similar interest in magic to. If somebody's answering the same questions and saying the same sort of thing that you agree with, you could private message them and you could say, hey, man, I really like your thinking on this. Would you mind, do you want to jump on Zoom at some point and have a bit of a chat about magic? The beautiful thing about Zoom is you can do that. So I've got a couple of friends, really, really close friends who like magic, and probably every week or two, we kind of have this Zoom session from about 7 o'clock in the evening till about 1 o'clock the following morning, and we're just showing each other magic, and we're just talking magic, and they'll be showing me their new ideas, and I'll be showing them my new ideas, and that's something that we've done right from the beginning of lockdown. Every couple of weeks, we've done this magic session, and there's just 4 of us. There's me and 3 others, and it's it's really cool. It's a great way to just build up relationships with people, and I think ultimately that's it. So, long story short, I think just do it. It's very easy to sit there and go, well, you know what? No one's going to want to talk to me. No one's going to want to engage with me. No one's going to want to say anything to me. I think the easiest way would be to push yourself out there. And as I say, either A, private message people and say, hey, you want to jump on the phone sometime? I'm really, it seems like we've got a synergy here in terms of the type of magic you like and I like. I'd like to show you a couple of my ideas and get some feedback on it. Maybe we can jam, or yeah, just actually put it out there. Hey, I'm having a Zoom jam. Who's interested? Or the other thing is, one other idea. Now that everything's online, you can join any magic society in the world. And that magic society will want you because they're looking for members right now. So I'm in the middle of applying for a magic club in Leeds just because it popped up. Hey, would you like to join our magic club? We meet every couple of weeks on a Wednesday and we do a Zoom meeting. I'm like, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Might not be able to turn up to every meeting, but heck, I'll give it a go. Why not? So I've filled in the application form and so on and so forth. So yeah, you can apply to any club in the world, and then once you're in the club, they'll say, hey, how you doing, this is so and so, and you might meet somebody there that you can then have extra sessions with afterwards. But it's really just putting yourself out there. If you sit there and you just think to yourself, well, no one's going to want to talk to me, it's very, very difficult, it's all awkward, then yeah, you're right. But if you put yourself out there and you actually speak to people, then that's the best way to build up that social circle of magicians, and you end up with a group of people that you can show things to, and you can meet up regularly. Okay, so the next question is by Mr. Harmon. Hey, Mr. Harmon, how you doing? Unbroken record, love to see. So the question he's got today is, do you think you will ever do a video on how to make your virtual show as best as it can be? And the answer is yes. I'm doing some more videos on virtual shows over the next few weeks. I've just finished editing one that'll be going up soon on a Thursday at 9 o'clock at some point. But really, in terms of making your virtual show as best as it can be, my advice initially is not to make it as good as it can be. My advice initially is just to go out and do it. just to go out and do it. You know, I spoke to a magician the other week and he was like, well, I haven't started doing Zoom shows yet because I've worked out that the equipment I need is about £10,000. I want this camera, I want this laptop, I want this backdrop, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this switcher system, I want this, I want this, I want this. And once I've got my studio set up, then I'll start doing virtual shows. And I'm like, how long is that going to take? And he went, about 6 to 12 months. I'm like, dude, if I'm still doing virtual shows in 6 to 12 months, I'm going to be like, it's the same with YouTube, right? I've spoken to people about YouTube, and they've said to me, how do you build a YouTube channel? And I said, well, I'm not really 100% too sure myself. It's something I'm kind of working on as I speak. I'm learning new stuff every single day. But the big piece of advice I can give you is just do it. You know, I've spoken to people and they go, right, I'm gonna do a YouTube channel, and they put the first video on. And then the next video happens about 3 weeks later, and the next video happens about 3 weeks after that. And it's like, well, why aren't you putting videos up regularly? I know you've got a lot to speak about. Why aren't you putting videos up regularly? Oh, it's because I'm trying to get it perfect. I'm scripting it, and I'm waiting to find the right camera. I don't think the camera I'm using is the best camera, and I'm waiting to find the right lighting and the right studio. It's just do it. Some of the biggest YouTubers in the world have great equipment, but if you ask them, they'll tell you that when they first started, they were probably shooting it on their iPhone. And that's the thing that you need to understand. When you're putting a virtual show together, the thing that's going to make that virtual show the best it can be is flight time. It's like anything. How do you get the best stage act in the world? You get the best stage act in the world by going out and performing on stage a lot. I'm doing an interview soon with John Archer. It'll be going up on the channel soon. And he talked about how to become good on stage, and he said it's flight time. It's all about going out and doing it again and again and again and getting really, really good, and there's nothing but experience to help you with that. And that's true, right? That's absolutely true. But it's the same with with virtual shows. The more you do them, the better you get at it. The better you get at performing to a camera. And so, yeah, what's the best? How do you make your virtual show the best way it can be? Well, one way is to use the most expensive equipment. But the other way is to actually make it the best show it can possibly be. And as long as you've got a decent backdrop and a decent thing to stream from, you don't need multiple cameras. You know, I was watching a show the other week, and it was a great show, don't get me wrong, but they had multiple cameras. But for 90% of the show, they were just using that one camera. And every single time they had a camera coming in from a different angle, it wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. It was just not needed. So, you know, it's kind of like when... Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Don't make excuses for yourself. The best way to get a virtual show is to script a virtual show and go out and do it. Offer to do it for free if you have to. If you've got nobody booking you, offer to do it for free. Just go out there, get flight time. Do it, get it as good as you can get it, and then when you've got it to that level, then you can work on improving the technical side of things and the technical aspects. But please remember, although I do believe that virtual shows are going to be here for a long time, even when the world has got back to normal, virtual shows will still be here to some extent. I do believe that hopefully by the end of the year, we are going to be back to some sort of normality, and a lot of the entertainment that we're going to be offering is going to be live entertainment. So please remember that as well. But yeah, there you go. That's the big piece of advice I can give you. I am doing other videos on this subject, but the big piece of advice I can give you is the best way to make your virtual show brilliant is not to spend money on expensive equipment, but just go out and get flight time and do it as much as you can. Right, the next question by Mr. Harmon is, how do you price yourself as a magician for gigs, etc.? And this is a video that I'm going to be doing on a new channel. I did talk about this last year, but I am in the middle of setting up a new YouTube channel specifically about marketing for magicians. I tried to do marketing for magicians on this channel, didn't really work out as well as I hoped. Magicians just aren't that interested in marketing, but I know there's a percentage of magicians and performers that are, which is why I'm looking into setting up a different channel. However, so I don't want to go into this in too much depth here because it is a question that requires a lot of information, and I haven't got the time to put all of that information across here in this video right now. But I will tell you very, very briefly, there are 3 levels, okay? Generally in every industry, there are 3 levels, 3 price points. And the first price point is at the very, very top, and it's premium, okay? And it's normally about, depending on the industry, it's normally about 7 or 8% of the buying public, and everybody in premium, they just want the best. They don't care what the price is. They want the best, and they are prepared to spend whatever it takes to get the best. So you've got premium. That's about 7 or 8%. Then at the bottom, you've got budget, and they're the people that will always haggle on money. They will always haggle on money. They're looking for the cheapest deal. They will try and talk people down. They just want the cheapest possible thing that they can do. They're always looking for the deal. And then the final one in the middle, that's round about somewhere between 60 and 70%, and that's value for money. And the people that fall in this category, they're prepared, they want a good product, and they're prepared to pay a fair price to get that product. What you have to do before you price yourself up is decide which category you are marketing yourself to. So in the UK, for example, the bottom level would be like a Poundland, or in America, it would be like a dollar store, right? Primark, you know, somebody who, you know, the sort of people that just want the cheapest thing. The top would be like Versace, you know, ridiculously expensive, or Lamborghinis and stuff like that. Well, the middle section would be, I don't know, I'm terrible at this sort of analogy. The middle section would be something like maybe Next or something like that, you know, where it's not cheap, but it's not ridiculously expensive. Or top, I don't know, Next, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Then once you've got these 3 sections, right, you have to understand that you have to figure out which category you're going to be marketing yourself into. And that's very, very important. Now, I've never marketed myself into budget, because the problem is when you're competing on price, there's always somebody cheaper than you. And there's always somebody that will drive that price down. Every single time without fail. Now, I'm not going to criticize. I mean, look, Poundland made a very good, successful business out of targeting this industry or this particular segment. But for me, it's not the sort of segment I want to hit. I tend to go with value for money. That's where I tend to go, and most magicians do. But the reason this is important is because you need to, if you are targeting premium, everything about your brand has to be premium. Everything has to ooze premium. If your prices are too low, they won't book you. But your website and the messages that you put across to people all have to be premium. The social proof that you put together has to be premium. And you have to understand there's less people in that segment. So you are going to have to be really good at marketing. If you're going budget, everything has to be budget. All of your marketing and everything has to be about, you know, oh, this is cheap, this is cheap, this is 50% off. And if you're going value for money, everything has to appeal to that market demographic. So understanding which segment that you want to market your business into is vitally important. Before you price yourself up, you need to figure out where your customers are, okay? And then you can start working on your price. Now, I'm not going to go into this anymore. I've kind of already talked about it too much, but look out. I will be making an announcement. Look out for when the new channel goes live, and I'm going to be talking about this sort of stuff all of the time. I'm going to be talking about how to build businesses and how to make your marketing just really work for you. So that's something I'll be talking about down the line at some point. But for now, think about which segment your business falls into and which type of people that you want to go after. Okay, so the next question is Danny Marco. Hey, Danny. He asks a great question. If you could only carry a set of 4-coin piece to perform, if you would take into account variety and entertainment capability, what would that consist of? Keep in mind that a shell counts as 1 piece, a split coin also technically counts as 1. So I'm guessing that like 4 coins would count as 1 as well, because you're saying a 4-coin piece. So if I just carried 4 coins around with me, that would be it. I would probably carry around with me, Danny, a flipper and 3 regular coins. Because for me, a flipper is a much better thing to carry around with than a shell. Just because I do so much with the flipper coin. Yeah, I bought out a DVD many years ago called Flipped Out. I do a lot of flipper coin routines. And having a flipper coin and 3 regular coins, excuse me, having a flipper coin with me and 3 regular coins would mean that I could literally do any of those routines. And the nice thing about that is very few magicians use a flipper coin. So I would be able to perform stuff that other magicians don't really do. And for me, and I've talked about this on the channel before, the flipper is way better than a shell, purely because it allows the focus on the vanish of the coins. If you think about it, if I've got apparently 4 coins laid out, but it's 3 coins in a flipper, I can throw those coins up in the air and one of those coins can vanish. You can't do that with a shell. You can't have that clean vanish. You have to close your hand, that's the shell, open it up again. Even if you're doing it at the fingertips and you're pulling the shell back, it's not as clean as just throwing them. Or putting an open flipper and a couple of coins into a spectator's hand and having them throw the coins up in the air and having them vanish, which is, I published on my routine empowerment many, many years ago. So for me, it would have to be a flipper and 3 regular coins, because using that set, I could do so much with it and I could do stuff with it that other magicians aren't doing. But it's a brilliant question, Danny. Let me know in the comments down below what your set would be. So the next question, actually it's 2 questions, but we'll put them together as one because they're easy to answer, is by Mike D, regular viewer of the channel. Thanks, buddy. Question 1, are you going to ever make a new Flipper DVD? And if so, when? Yes. Question number 2, I am, and it's coming soon. I'm not going to go any further into that, but I am, and it's coming soon. Question number 2, can I get a signed card from the greatest magic ranter in the world? I'm a nerd and I collect signed cards from magicians I highly respect, and you, sir, I respect very much. That's really nice. Credit to your wife for behind the scenes. Yeah, you know what, Sarah couldn't do this channel without her. She's absolutely amazing. She really is. So she'll love hearing that. Yeah, absolutely, dude. If anybody wants a signed card, I can't imagine why you want a signed card from me. But if you do want a signed card, then just email me at craig@magictv.org and I'll do it and I'll send it in the post. Just give me your address. Absolutely not a problem at all. More than happy to do that. Happy to help any way that I can. And with regards to the Flipper DVD, it wouldn't be a DVD, it'd be download. But yeah, look out for that. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Okay, so the next question is by DJ's Productions. Hey, buddy. What do you think of magician clique groups that stick together to the point of being two-faced? The ones that don't like you and being honest. And the ones that don't like you being honest, ones that think magic is some sacred order and anyone reveals a DL or anything is to be blackballed by them. You know what? You're going to get cliquey groups in every single industry, not just in magic. You're going to get it everywhere. You're going to have these cliquey groups where people kind of just sit together and they just badmouth other people. It happens, right? It happens. It happens in magic. It happens in every single industry. We're lucky, for the most part, that in magic, people generally are quite welcoming, and you know, you look at Blackpool Magic Club, and you look at the convention, right, and you go to the Ruskin afterwards, and it's literally thousands of people everywhere. You can just walk up to one group of people, and generally they'll be quite welcoming, and they'll say, hey, yeah, come and sit down, and that's what I love about magic. It is a community. Now, do you see cliquey groups? Yes. Does that piss me off? Absolutely. I know, you know, because I'm not deluded, I know that there are a bunch of people that are out there that really don't like me for a variety of different reasons. They don't like me because I'm outspoken. They don't like me because they don't like the fact that I swear in the rant videos. They don't like me because I bring up subjects that they feel that we shouldn't talk about. They don't like me because I'm honest about what I think about what's going on in magic. They don't like me because they feel that I screwed things over with red, or with the team building stuff, or with the magic circle, or anything else that people can bring up about with regards to my past. They don't like me for a variety of different reasons, and I know that. You know, I've spoken to lots of people who say, oh my God, I've just been inundated with people saying, keep away from Craig Petty. Steve Deller's the perfect example. You know, when me and Steve put the Phantasmagoria show together, he had so many phone calls saying, Craig Petty, it's Craig Petty who's going to be doing the show with you. Are you absolutely insane? You know, people don't like the fact that I speak my mind, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm no longer welcome in the Magic Circle. I don't know, but I'm not going to stop speaking my mind, because for the simple reason that the issues that I bring up on a Friday in the Magic Rants, I believe they are big issues within the magic community, and I think they are big issues that affect our industry. Shit downloads, terrible creators, whatever it may be, whatever I talk about on a Friday, I genuinely think these are things that are affecting the magic industry. And the way to deal with that is not to hide and hide behind and pretend it doesn't happen. The way to deal with it is to bring it out into the open, have a discussion, and hopefully we move on to a better place. And if I'm the person that has to be bringing that stuff up, and a few people hate me for it, then so be it. I don't really care. You know, if you like me, that's great. If you don't like me, that's also so great, but at least you know that you get what I am what I say I am. You know, I'm not two-faced in any way, shape or form. If I like you, you're gonna know about it. If I don't like you, you will absolutely know about it at all as well. So with regards to the part that you said about, you know, people not liking me, yeah, absolutely, and I don't really care. With regards to the two-faced thing, yeah, there are groups of people out there that are two-faced. There are cliquey groups that just don't want anybody else into their group, and they just sit there and bitch and moan about everyone else. But you know what? Just keep away from those people. Pity them. They are pathetic. You know, the whole thing about magic, and I talked about this with Bizarro, is that the magic industry attracts people that maybe were a bit socially inept when they were younger. Maybe they were bullied at school or something, because learning magic gives you this power. It gives you this thing that you can do that no one else can do. And a lot of people get into magic that maybe weren't the most popular kid in school. I was never the most popular kid in school, and it's one of the reasons why I got into magic. You know, it just happens. I remember many years ago, I almost got kicked out the magic convention, Blackpool Magic Convention, because I went wearing a t-shirt that said on it magic in big letters, and then underneath it said, because sometimes social ineptitude and masturbation just isn't enough. And you know, a lot of the older magicians did not like that. They thought I was being crass. So yeah, that's a very waffly answer to say, look, dude, there's always going to be cliques in every single industry, and if that happens, just ignore those people, pity them, and find people that are welcoming, because there's enough people like that in magic. There's enough really nice, really genuine, really welcoming people that will do anything to help you, and just gravitate towards those people. And that's another Q&A, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching. Any questions that you've got, please leave them in this video. There are so many comments on this channel now, it's almost impossible to find them all over the place. I try my best, but the easiest way to deal with this is to ask any questions in the comments to this video. That would be amazing. I'll be answering them all again next Sunday. Have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow. My name's Craig from Magic TV.